Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a get ready with me. It's going to be a very chatty get ready with me because that is what I do. I am a chatter, or I'm a little bit of a chatterbox. And you can ask my husband about that. I'm sure he wishes sometimes that I had an off button, but I don't. But he's gotten really good about not so much tuning me out. Well, yeah, he can do that. He can tune me out for sure sometimes. But also he will just flat out be like, Jenifer, can't you see I'm reading something? Or can't you see I've got my headphones in because I'm trying to like pay attention to something on my computer, and I'm like, oh, sorry. So that's where you guys come in, because some of the topics that I like to discuss are of no interest to him whatsoever. And I do have a couple topics that I am going to discuss, or, you know, want your feedback on a little bit, because they were on my mind this morning and I was like, you know what, I want to talk about that. I wonder if anybody else has those same issues or thinks about things, you know, similar to the way that I do. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's put some makeup on this face. Again, this is, and as you know, this is not really going to be a tutorial. It's going to be less on technique and more just about, you know, me applying makeup. I love makeup, you know, but I definitely have a certain way that I apply it, and other people's techniques don't necessarily work for me, so I just do it my own personal way. And it seems to work, you know, okay for me, I guess. In my own opinion. I don't know, I'm sure I could get better, but anyway, so let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so I've already got my skincare on. So the first thing I'm gonna do, it's typically the first thing that I do every day whenever I put on makeup, is I'm gonna put on some concealer, and this is the Dermablend Professional Smooth Liquid Camo Concealer. And what color is it in? It is in Fair. And I kind of wish that I would have purchased one shade darker. I used to really like for it to be really light in this area, but I'm starting to prefer a more, I don't know, all the same color look. So I apply it under my eyes, but then I also apply it to the sides of my nose because I have some dark areas there. And then I apply it here. I should just go all over my whole face. So, okay, so the first topic that I want to discuss, because this happened to me the other day, and when I tried to talk to my husband about it, he's just like, that kind of stuff never happens to me. And I'm like, surely it has to happen to other women. And so I have asked other women, and, you know, of course, they're like, oh my gosh, that's totally happened to me. And I'm like, why? Either my husband's just not noticing things, or men just don't do these things to each other. So what happened to me was I was at like one of these discount stores, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, one of those. And I was down an aisle. I was looking at blouses or shirts or whatever, and I had the whole aisle to myself. There was not a single other person on that aisle, and I was starting at the very beginning of the smalls, and I was just gonna work my way up to medium, you know, and then stop at medium. And so I'm sitting there looking through, and I'm pushing the clothes from right to left and going in that direction towards medium. Well, all of a sudden, this woman comes down the aisle, and I kid you not, I have to remind myself to keep applying makeup as I'm talking, because otherwise I will just stop and have a conversation with you guys. So anyway, she walks down the aisle that I'm on, and she literally gets on the right side of me about, I mean, literally our arms were like 6 inches apart. We were no further than a foot apart for sure. And she starts just kind of going in the same direction. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just thought it was so rude. And I thought, who does that? Who would ever see somebody going in a direction? She might as well have said, look, I want to have first dibs on, you know, this section here, and so you can have my leftovers. Anyway, I just thought that was so rude, and I was like, I would never do that to somebody. What if I would have just like gone around her 6 inches in front of her and just continued to shop, you know, do exactly what she did to me? I mean, I wonder if she would have said something, if she would have been like, what? Or how could she not know that that is rude to do? So the next thing I'm going to put on is this L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. And this is in the color Natural Buff. It might be a little bit too dark. This definitely requires a little bit of a learning curve, but I absolutely love this foundation so much. But the one thing that I have a little bit of trouble with is blending it into my skin. And I'm going to show you how I do it. Because at first I was like, I just had to use my fingers because I felt like that was the only way for it to get it to blend into my skin really well. But now I found another way. Okay, so I have it dotted all over my face, and I'm gonna take one of these little foundation brushes like this. I don't know, I think I got this in an Ipsy bag a year ago or so. And I just start really patting it in. And this is a way that I found was the best way to kind of blend it into my skin. So I will, what is that? So I will pat it in like this, and then occasionally I will, you know, sweep it a little bit, but this seems to work best for me. So let me go ahead and put that all. Okay, so that's all I do. I just do a lot of patting first, and then I will do some sweeping just to make sure I get it everywhere. And then I also did put a little bit right in here too. I kind of want to just go all the way down to my belly button. You know, don't you ever do that? Sometimes you're like, but what about here? Now it's going to look different. You know, then you just keep going and you're like, how far am I going to go? So anyway, so that's it. Now I do want to say that this foundation is extremely, extremely matte, as you can tell. So if you are somebody who likes more luminosity, then you're not going to like this. But I do not like the luminosity, so I like a matte finish. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on some eyeshadow. And the other day I was watching Melissa55, and she was using some cream eyeshadows. And I was like, I love when that happens, when I watch somebody else and I'm like, God, why did I stop using my cream eyeshadows? I always typically do kind of a one eye color look anyway. I don't go crazy with all these different shades and blending and stuff like that. So I really like this. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use this Revlon Color Stay. This is a cream eyeshadow. It's in the color 715. And it's a little kind of cracked, but it's not dried out, believe it or not. But anyway, and so let me just show you how I do it. I just really get a bunch on my brush. It's real hard, you know, so it's not like you have to tap anything off or anything like that. And I just start applying to my mobile eyelid, and then I go up a little bit further. So just like this. I mean, it's such a beautiful color. Okay. And this is pretty much all I'm going to do. I'm going to go up a little further. Now, one thing that I kind of like to do in order to determine how far up I'm going to go on my eye with my eyeshadow, sometimes I go nuts and it's all the way up to my eyebrow. But typically what I do is I leave my eye in a resting position because my eyes are very, very hooded and the skin falls over my mobile eyelid and it kind of wants to hang down on the sides also. So what I'll do is I'll take some with a much smaller brush and I'll leave my eyes in a rested position, and then I will kind of mark it so that I know how far I want to go. Because all I'm wanting to do is give myself an illusion of a little bit of a lift, you know? So now that I know where it's been marked, so I'll kind of just go like that. I don't know if you can see it, hopefully you can. And then I'll follow just kind of where I've marked it, and then I'll kind of make what looks like a teardrop falling in that direction on my eye. So let me just show you what I mean by that. And a lot of times I will lean my head really, really far back so that I can get it, you know, where it needs to be. Obviously, when you have aging skin, you know, you have to do things a little bit differently. Now, you know, I was just thinking about this because before I started this video, I decided to paint my fingernails. And one of the reasons is because I have terrible, terrible looking hands. And I am under no misconceptions there. The thing is that I have my grandma's hands. So, you know, I love that about them because when I see them, I think of my grandma. But I wish she would have, you know, passed something different down to me. But anyway, one time I remember talking to my grandma, and my grandma was somebody who, she never wore a lot of makeup. She never wore any eye makeup, I don't think ever. But she would wear rouge, and she would wear this air-spun powder. And then she would also wear some lipstick. She would always like to wear some pretty lip color. She was just so cute. She's very Southern. She was born in Louisiana. And I remember one time I was like, Grandma, I think it's so neat that you always keep your fingernails painted. I don't know that I've ever seen you without your fingernails painted. And she's like, girl, look at my hands. She talks so cute. She was saying girl before it was kind of a popular thing. But she was like, girl, look at my hands. I have to wear, you know, fingernail polish. Otherwise, you know, I have such awful looking hands. And I was like, you do? And I had never noticed it before then. And she basically showed me the hands that I have now, you know, and I'm like, oh, so now I recognize it. And I'm like, so that's why she always kept them painted, you know. Like I said, I'm under no misconceptions when it comes to my hands, and anytime they make an appearance in a video, even when I'm just talking like this or something, I'm like, put your hands down, you know. Like, I know somebody's gonna get mad at me for saying that because we shouldn't talk about ourselves negatively like that. I try not to, but every once in a while I do. Okay, I feel like it needs to go up and out just a little bit more. And as you can see, I'm just doing a ton of stippling, right? I think that looks good, right? Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this little Wet n Wild right here. I have looked for this shade in every single palette I've ever purchased. And for whatever reason, it's never this perfect color. I think it's called Creme Brulee. It's either too yellow or too white or something like that. But this is just perfect. And they really don't want you to get into this little packaging because they tape it up so, so well. But anyway, I just take it like that, put a little on my brush, and then I just soften the edges. That's my idea of blending, you know. Oops, I might have, ooh. I don't want to undo everything I just did. Hope I didn't. Okay, all right, just like that. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna finish this whole eye, and then I will do this eye off camera. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another cream foundation, and this is the Revlon Color Stay. This is color 720. I'm not sure what color it is. I'll put all this in my description box. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my lower eyelash line. I used to start in the middle and then go out because I thought it was giving my eye a lift, but I don't think it was. I actually think it was dragging my eye down a little bit. So instead, I read this in a magazine recently when I was at my mother-in-law's house. I don't know if it was a current magazine or an old magazine, but if you have downturned eyes, you can start in the middle and just kind of work your way about 3/4 of the way. And it might look funny right now, but once I put eyeliner in my waterline, you won't even be able to tell that I did that. But what it does is that it brings this part down and lets this part stay up, you know, because if I put color here, it's just gonna bring that down. And I kind of do it thicker, like towards the center, and I will take it up here too. Because like I said, I'm trying to pull my eyes in, not out. Okay, just like that. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my NYX. This is called Golden, what is it? Golden Olive. I love NYX pencils. Their eyeliners, lip liners, even their eyebrow pencils. I just love them. They work so well. And I'm just gonna put this in my waterline. And you'll see, once I put it in my waterline, it's gonna lift my eye up that way again. It's looking like a smoky eye, right? Okay, I think I'm gonna have to see what that looks like. I think I have the right shape. It's sometimes hard for me to tell with these lights. I have to go into my bathroom and make sure that everything looks okay. This is so funny, right? The power of makeup. I mean, look at this eye. I'm gonna look at this one. Don't look at my hands. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. No. Okay, so the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to do my mascara and put on my eyebrows. As most of you know, I tattooed my own eyebrows, and I do have a video about that too. So if you think you see color there, that's why. But anyway, I'm gonna use my heated eyelash curler. This is another thing. I was watching Mary from Glitzy Fritzy the other day, and if you have not watched her, oh my gosh, she is hilarious. I've never made it through one of her videos without totally cracking up about something that she says, or I don't know, she's so relatable to me. But anyway, she's hilarious. And she was using her heated eyelash curler, and the story that led up to it was just so funny. But anyway, so I'm gonna use mine, and you know, like I said, it's another one of those things where it takes AAA batteries, and I'd run out of batteries or something that day, and so I couldn't use it. And then I just never picked it up again. Like, I never went and bought the AAA batteries or anything like that. So I went out and bought some AAA batteries, and I'm so glad that I did, because I love this. I actually look forward to using it. It's already getting hot right now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna curl my eyelashes, put on some mascara, and then we'll do my eyebrows. Now, before I even started this video, I used my middle eyelash curler and I curled my eyelashes just because I hate the way that I look without curled eyelashes. It's hard enough being on camera with no makeup on at all. It's a little bit harder when your eyelashes are just like straight flat out. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put on some mascara. This is just something that, you know, everybody has their favorite mascara, and this is so inexpensive. It's the CoverGirl. It's waterproof. I have to use waterproof. I've tried pretty much every drugstore brand of mascara, and I think it all comes down, well, it comes down to a lot of things, but one of them is the wand. I prefer a really tiny, thin wand like this. I do not like the real thick, real long-haired. I end up getting it all over my eyelids. I get it on my eyelids anyway, every single time, so I always have to keep some Q-tips nearby. But there's just a lot more room for error when I use ones like this. And I just feel like this stays on through anything, through a thunderstorm, you know. So, if I'm gonna use a pencil on my eyebrows, I will use this one by NYX, and it's called Soft Brown. It's one that I have found recently that really matches. You know what, let me just go ahead and put a little bit of pencil in. And I'm a little upset about something, because recently I was like, I wanted to touch up my eyebrows a little bit with the tattoo. And I wanted to get the inside corners there. I wanted them to come in a little bit closer. And I used a color that I know better than to use. It's called Black Brown. Anytime you see the word black in your color, it has the tendency to change colors once it's under the skin. And sometimes you'll get a blue hue. Sometimes you'll get a blue hue. Sometimes you'll get a gray, green, you know, all those colors that you would never see somebody naturally grow on their eyebrows. And I used it, and sure enough, you know, right after the scabbing and stuff, I could already tell that it was kind of looked like kind of a bluish color. You know, I'm like, oh, now I'm gonna have to color correct that. I just bought some stuff yesterday, so I will color correct it. But this seems to be a perfect color for my eyebrows. My eyebrows, if you could tell, are naturally like jet black. So when I was younger, they were really thick and really jet black. So that is a really good color that matches perfectly for me. Another thing that I use, if I'm gonna be using powder, then I will use, my Gray Away. It's actually root touch-up powder, and it matches. I actually have some in my hair right now, because I just literally colored my hair like, was it yesterday? No, day before yesterday. But I have some very, very resistant silver hair that does not want to color. And sometimes I will just have to touch it up like the day after I color all my hair. But anyways, this just matches perfectly. Now if you look at it, it looks like it would almost be green, but it's not. And it just really matches quite perfectly. Now I like a really solid eyebrow. I know I am in the minority there, but yeah, that's just how I do it. That's how I like it. And so that's what I do. I do see that my battery light is on, so I'm going to charge up my battery, and I'm going to do my other eye off camera, and then we'll come back and finish the rest of the makeup. Okay, so I just did the other eye, and it kind of looks like I'm pulling out a little bit of a smoky eye. And that was not on purpose. I've never done a smoky eye, but it kind of looks like it. I think it's just this color. Typically, to create this look, I actually use the 720, and it's more of a brown mauve color, but I wanted to try this one, and it's really grayish, but I'm really kind of liking it. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on some blush. And, you know, I I have a few of my favorites, and this is definitely one of them. This is just the CoverGirl, and it's called Natural Glow, and I've used it before. It looks like this, and I feel like you can apply as much as you'd like without going overboard. And this is, so because of that, it has become kind of my favorite. Now it has definitely, you know, some pink to it, but it also has a little bit of a glow, you know, like as if you're putting on some highlighter as well. So that's what it looks like right there. And whenever I wear this in videos, I seem to get compliments, and I seem to get asked, you know, what I'm wearing, and this, it can't be cheaper. I mean, it's CoverGirl. I don't know if I just, you know, I say you can't go overboard, and I probably just went overboard, didn't I? Another one that I like is by the Profusion Cosmetics, and it's their, oh, I can't remember right now, but it's the other one that I always use. Either this one or that one, or I will use this one right here. I don't know if this is Physicians Formula or Milani. I hate when they don't have it on the back. It's called Romantic Rose, and it actually looks like a rose. It's really pretty. But that's real matte. That doesn't have like any shimmer, any glow to it, and this one has a little bit of glow. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do my lips, and you know, I have my favorite lip liner, and I've tried so many different shades of, this is a mauve, and this is NYX, it's 831 mauve, and it's just my absolute favorite lip liner. Okay, so let's go ahead and put on some lip liner and some lipstick. Then I'm probably almost gonna be done, and then I'll go take down my hair and show you what it looks like. Now back to the topic of the shopper that was just so inconsiderate and just jumped right in front of me. I'm just wondering if you guys have ever had a situation like that, because that's the same kind of scenario has happened at the grocery store with me on several occasions. There will be times where I might be looking at canned goods, or I'm in the makeup section, and someone will come and literally, like, I'm sitting there going like this looking at stuff, and they'll come and stand literally right in front of me so that I'm now looking at their back, and I'm like, am I invisible or something? I mean, this is just crazy. And actually one time I was like, excuse me, you know, like, you just actually stood right in front of me, so now I'm looking at your back. And her boyfriend even said the same thing. He's like, whatever her name was, he's like, you just stood right in front of her. And she just like looked at him and rolled her eyes. And I'm thinking, how rude. So did you actually know that you did that, and you still just went ahead and did it on purpose? So, you know, I was like, excuse me, and then she scooted over just a little bit so that I could like peer over her shoulder, and I just thought, I can't even believe, you know, the audacity of some people. I would never do that to somebody. There have been occasions where I've accidentally like stood there and somebody's come behind me and they're like, excuse me, you know, because they want to look at the same thing I do. And my response is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm acting like I'm the only one in the grocery store, you know? I'm sorry, and I'm very apologetic. I would never be like, you want to look at the same stuff I do? Okay, so let me put on some lipstick. Have you guys ever done this? I was chewing gum the other day and I bit the inside of my lip really hard. I actually thought that I bit my flesh off, but I bit it so hard, well then, you know, it swells and then it gets in the way and then you end up biting it again. I think I must have bitten it at least 4 times that day, not with the gum, but just eating food and stuff like that later. So this side is so swollen, which I like. I wish the other side was like that, but it's not for a good reason. So if you ever want to look like you have really full lips for the night, just go ahead and bite your lip on the inside really, really hard. Okay, so usually, you know, because my eyes are so dark, I would never leave my lips this dark, because sometimes I'll just put on, if I didn't have a lot of eye makeup on, then I would just put on some chapstick here, just like this, and be done with it, because my natural lip color is pretty dark. It used to be really dark when I was younger. People used to always ask me if I was wearing lipstick, and I wasn't. My daughters are really dark. Mine have faded quite a bit. But now I can just put on some cherry chapstick, and since it's a little bit tinted, it tints my lips a little bit, and then they end up looking this red. But since I'm not gonna do that, because my eyes are so dark, I'm actually gonna use this, and this was actually sent to me. I am gonna make a video about it, but I've only been using it a week, so I don't want to jump the gun on it at all. But I got an email and they asked me if I wanted to try it out, and I went to the website and checked it out and was like, absolutely I do. So anyway, this is the lipstick, and this has got to be like the coolest packaging for lipstick ever, because I was like, how do you open it? I was like freaking out, like, is there like rules to opening this? But you just twist it and then it just comes out the top like that. Now this is your typical just nude. This is the most nude that you could, it's almost like skin flesh color. So, and I actually like that, especially as kind of a base, but there's more to this. So it's not just a lipstick. So anyway, let me show you. It smells like green tea. I love it. It smells like a mix between green tea and peppermint. Okay, so I'm not gonna stop there. That's just kind of the base. What I'm gonna top it off with is this NYX, and this is called Fortune Cookie. And it's got a little bit of pink undertones, which I like because I do wanna add a little pink to this. Okay, so that is the lipstick. And like I said, I just think that these two together go really nicely. This actually came with a lip gloss that is supposed to complement it, but I think this one complements it better. Yeah, that looks really, really pretty. So the only last thing that I have to do is put on some, I just realized I didn't put on any under eye setting powder, and I'm gonna use this NYX. Obviously, you know, I really love the NYX, and this is the HD finishing powder. And I love this stuff. It is so super finely milled. So you do have to be a little bit careful with it. Now, the reason I say you have to be careful with it is because, first of all, it's a little bit asphyxiating. It makes you, if you breathe it in, it'll make you cough. But also you have to make sure you pat it in really well. You may even want to use your finger, because one day I didn't, and I ended up taking some pictures, and I was like, what is that on my face? And this apparently has, I guess, that flashback, you know, I think that's what it's called, where it kind of really reflects the light, but, you know, not uniformly. So now I just kind of pat it all in real well. And then the last thing I'm gonna do is put on this Coty Airspun. I just love this stuff. I mean, I do have other powders that I do use sometimes, but I really like this one the best. And something like this is gonna last you over a year, like way over a year. And this just, once again, just reminds me of my grandma. It just, I actually, when she passed away, I kept some of her stuff, just things that will always remind me of her, like a bottle of Aquanet. She used to always use Aquanet, and so whenever I smell Aquanet, it just reminds me of my grandma so much. And then I have a little container of this, and a container of her rouge, and a few of her dresses, and a lock of her hair. But yeah, I kept a bunch of stuff. So yeah, I do have a little bit of a weird kind of hair fetish, and I do like to keep locks of hair of everybody that I love. I've always kept, you know, I have some of my husband's, some of my kids, and then when my grandparents passed away, I did take some of their hair, because to me it's just really sentimental, especially if you have relatives, you know, that are no longer with you. You know, just having a locket of their hair, there's something just very sentimental about it to me. It's just, I mean, it was once connected to them, you know, and so yeah, I do. I have, you know, everybody has some, you know, quirky kind of weird things, but I don't really have, you know, hair from like my sisters or my nieces or nephews, or my mom and dad. But my mom is going to be coming for Christmas, so I'm going to be like, come here, I need a chunk of your hair. But yeah, I'm probably definitely going to do that when she's here. So anyway, let me go take down my hair, let me go fix it up, and I'll come and show you what it looks like all pulled together. Okay, so this is the final look. Came out to be a little bit more of a kind of a smoky, I don't know if I'd call it a smoky eye, because I feel like that's more blackish, but this is definitely, you know, gray. And if you look at the color here, This is the 715. It almost looks a little bit bronzy, but it does apply very gray-like. Now this other one, the 720 Revlon that I put on the bottom, it's typically the one that I would use more often during the day, and it's kind of a little bit of a brown mauve-ish color, and you can go lighter or darker with it, so I really like that for daytime. One eye color. I prefer a one eye color look. It's easiest for me, less room for error. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you next week.